What's up, y'all? It's your host, Sid, and welcome back to another episode of Cooler Talk. If you notice, my neon light is just trying not to work today, but we here regardless. So I'm so excited that y'all are here joining me and so many dope women this season as we transparently inspire and empower through conversations about womanhood, career, life, and all of life's experiences. So joining me at the cooler today is my girl Shaque'l, better known to the TikTok world and social world at large, honestly, as your favorite six-figure chick. And her team at Six Figure Chick Consulting have helped over 5,000 people, predominantly women of color, transition their careers, scale the corporate ladder, and land six-figure paying jobs. She is a born and bred Texas girl, and recently this year she launched the Your Favorite Six-Figure Chick podcast. We met over a year ago, being in the same mastermind program with our business coach, and we've been locked in ever since, pouring into each other's businesses. So I am super, super happy to have her with me today at the cooler. Shaque'l, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people how you became the six-figure chick.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited. I've been watching Cooler Talk, on the gram and everything. And I'm like, oh, not me. I can be here too. I can be one of the ladies around the corner. Okay. So I'm really thankful. It's been crazy. So yeah, I'm Shaque'l. As Sid told y'all, I'm better known as your favorite six-figure chick. Myself and my team, we help people make these career transitions, and we try to help specifically Black women and women of color get dollars. I don't want them to get the bag. How much money can I get you, for the current skills that you have? Because a lot of us have this experience of, we don't know what you don't know. It's always talk about like getting started, years ago when I was like 20 and I was married. I always thought that when me and my, ex-partner, I was like, when we make $100,000, like collectively as a couple, I was looking at houses. Like, it's like we're gonna buy a house. This is enough. It's enough money. We're gonna buy a house. We were planning kids, doing all of these things. And so when I got my first job offer for more than $100,000 as one person, I was so astonished. And I just didn't know that it was possible, to make that amount of money and not have to be a CEO or not have to be, some top level executive. And so that's the passion behind this project. That's how we got here. But the start of this was a TikTok. I worked at TikTok for a little bit, so I had to have a TikTok account, and I made these little small funny videos. Nobody ever saw them. They got like 200, views or something. And Black Girl Luxury TikTok was really cool at the time. And so this girl, her video went viral. Everybody kept stitching, and it was like, Black Girl Luxury TikTok, what do y'all do? And I stitched it, and I was like, I work in tech, and I did a house tour, which is a thing I would not do today. That video no longer exists. But I was like, let me show you my really nice apartment, because that's what everybody was doing. They were like, let me show you the high rise, like the floor to ceiling windows. I was like, I'll do an apartment tour. And that video got like 3,000 views. And I was just like, I made it. I am viral. Call all the people, call Nike, call whoever. I want a brand deal right now. I want a brand deal. And the next day I sat down at this desk and I made a 2-minute long TikTok, which is unheard of. This was like 2021. Nobody was making long TikToks at that time. TikTok was still like Vine at the time.
You did it before Repeat basically is what you
it's look, and so I sat down and I was just like, this is my story of how I broke into tech. And that video got 300,000 views. And I was like, oh, this is what virality actually looks like. Got it. And so I've been making content ever since I think it was August 2021.
Wow. So you basically turned, just like you said, virality. You thought virality was 3,000.
I did.
2-minute long video that gained 300,000 views. Yes. And here we fast forward 3 to 4 years later and you got $1 million business. So absolutely. What do you feel like were some of the main factors or steps you took to turn content creation into a profitable business?
Yeah. The biggest one for me has been authenticity. People book with me and they want to work with me and they follow me because they can see themselves in me. I look like them. I sound like them. There's a lot of career coaches. There's a lot of people who sell a lot of things. But I know some of those career coaches, their feedback is, you need to be on the straight and narrow and button up. Take off all your things and cover your tattoos, and it's that kind of rhetoric. And it works. It does. It's not that it doesn't work, but it's only going to work for a certain type of person. And I want all Black people to, you know what I'm saying, feel like they have opportunities. And so there's a phrase that I use, which is called your best authentic self. I bring my best authentic self to TikTok and to the content that I put out. And I explain to people that's how they have to show up for their interviews and for, their jobs, but that they can still be authentically them. And so I just think people relate to that really, really well. That's always helped out out. The other piece is like, I've worked in the marketing space. Like I said, I worked at Google, I worked at TikTok. And so I worked in the marketing space, and I understood having a viral moment and having nowhere to go with that viral moment. People do it all the time. Yep. They go viral and they have nothing. They don't have a product. They don't have a wait list. They don't have a give me your email. They have nothing. And so when I first started making videos, I was just trying to build up the following. I really should have put up a wait list thing then, but I didn't. But I really was just trying to build a following. Like I was like, if I can get them in here and I get them talking, and then if I can keep them, I can make this work. And then I waited probably 3 months. It was 3 months from the time of my first video that went viral before I ever asked somebody for money. So I was just building community and building camaraderie and like establishing myself as a thought leader in the space and as somebody that people could trust before I was like, great, now please pay me money. Now the first money I asked was $15. It wasn't nobody got rich off that $15. Nobody went broke from that $15. But the first time I asked people for money was 3 months into me building that community. So those are the big things: is authenticity, build community, and have a plan for like virality. I'm not necessarily the most religious person, but a thing that I hear constantly is if you aren't ready for what you're asking for, it might not be provided, right? Like the universe, God, whomever you believe in, might not provide that thing to you. So it's like, you want a video to hit 1 million views, but what are you going to do with it? Do you have the capacity to take on 1 million views and what's going to happen? So building a plan for what that virality looks like and actually like putting it to work for us, because virality does not equal dollars. It's that part. Marketing space, you get it.
That part. I think like the very first factor, you mentioned of you just being able to take, hey, I sat at my desk and made a 2-minute video. And now I have a business that, pays me, pays people, pays my family. Like that authenticity factor. It's thrown around, used, in so many different ways, but I've truly like witnessed you, run a business and just be yourself on that stream. So if I don't know anything about Six Figure Chick, if this is my first time hearing about, like, how do you describe Six Figure Chick consulting to, a brand new person?
We are career strategists. That's what I say. It's like Six Figure Chick Consulting is a team of career strategists who help people transition careers, but we do it in a very no nonsense way. This is not your mama's career strategy session. I'm not going to tell you to stay at your job for 20 years and get your pension. I'm about to give you the goods to get to where it is that you need to be. I don't want you staying at a job for 3 years for fucking what? I don't want you, not using your time off or doing whatever. Again, I don't want you covering up. I just made content about it recently of like, we don't have to cover our tattoos. We don't have to look different. I have big hoop earrings. I have holes in my face. I remember the first time I got this nose ring, my mom was like, you gonna work in corporate with that? Like, you gonna have a job? And I was like, yes, ma'am. And then I went and pierced my lip too. It's the nails, like everything. So we are a team of career strategists that help people transition careers, but we help a very specific type of person. We help people who look like us, who sound like us, who do not want to change who they are at the core of their being, and who know that they are destined for more, but they don't know what more is, or they don't quite know how to get there. And so it's our job. That's what we do. It's like we help them figure out what more is. We help them identify those careers, identify those paths, and then we help them get whatever that more might be for them.
Look, I think as Black women, minorities in general, like, and especially with the parents we all grew up with, like, because we always be like, man, we got the same parents. We grew up the same way. Like, that story of, I had this nose ring and now I'm about to pierce my lip. Like, it was the same thing when I locked my hair. My parents was just like, so what type of jobs you think? And you're going to go back to, because I did it like in between 2 semesters at college. And it was like, so you're just going to go back to school with your hair like that? Yeah. Yes. And then the funny thing is, I became a CEO and then I dyed them red. So I think it's just funny how we like continue. Our parents would have called it like rebellious, but we just like, no, like this is just what I want to do with myself.
Absolutely. Just making sure that people know it looks different. Like it looks different for everybody, like as like how we, present. I've got fairly tame hair right now. Like I've had blue hair, I've had pink hair. I've had a mohawk of just full of locks that were red down to my ass. Like it's just, we can just do, we really can. And that's what I'm trying to shake up. We talk a lot about the work that I do with clients, right? The work that I do with like individuals, but I'm also trying to shake up the like standard for the industry. Like that is really important to me, is that I want people, I feel like I as an individual have been able to convince businesses that you can look like me and sound like me and be amazing at what you do. And, clients love me and, all of those things, and I can make revenue for your business. But I know that I'm still, more polished, if that's a good way to say it. Like I would still be potentially considered more polished. I'm bougie. Like I'm these nails are done. Like the haircut is crispy. Like so it's just I know that I am still potentially considered a more polished person, but it's like I want people who may not be as polished as me. I think of my mom. I love my mama. She's country. She is. And like, I want somebody like my mom to like feel very comfortable and confident. And for these corporations to understand that like, this isn't an automatic no. When I see what these people look like, it's not an automatic no, because the bias is going to be there regardless. Like bias happens whether we want it to or not. So we have to take classes and coursework and stuff to literally mitigate it. And we have to, it's an intentional action, but bias happens very unintentionally. And so trying to help these corporations see like the number of corporations that reach out to me, they're like, can you share this job? And can you da 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 da? I'm like, yeah, but are you going to hire somebody who looks like me? Like, are you going to hire the people? Because I want to make sure that those people are getting an opportunity, and I'm not just sharing it for the people who don't look like me who also happen to follow me, you know? So, yep.
Girl, on that, I think, like, I mean, I've obviously been around and known your business for, you know, over a year, but I think to hear you voice that, most people don't usually think of small businesses making such a large impact on such a systemic issue.
Yeah.
Right. Like a lot of times they think of small businesses as this mom and pop thing, helping people in a specific geo. Right. And just to see the trajectory of Six Figure Chick from Shaque'l sitting at her desk, you know, making a video to, this is not just about like the clients that come to us or people that comment on our TikToks or our Insta or any of our platforms, but is actually trying to break down a wall of a systemic issue of hiring practices, you know, and a lot of times people don't connect the missions of, again, small businesses, you know, to those things. And so I think it's like beautiful that it was something that you didn't just identify from like oh, well, I make this video, so now I maybe can make some money from the people that are not following me. It's like, no, like this is what I've been through. This is what people I know that have been through, and people that look like me are constantly going through it just because y'all mad about nails and nose rings and, you know, some damn locks in our head.
You worried about the wrong thing. Can I do my job?
Absolutely. So I think we, you know, always like to throw around now, you know, in today's economy, you know, outside too expensive, you know, job salaries ain't matching the housing prices and all of that. So when you think about, you know, people saying, you know, there aren't any jobs out there and nobody's hiring, or if they are hiring, they aren't paying enough. In the last 3 to 4 years, like how has the nature and the status of the job market impacted Six Figure Chick Consulting?
Yeah, it's been great. Like, it's just, you know, when we got started with this, it was the pandemic, right? And everybody was being laid off. And then we really were even though everybody was being like laid off, people were like, then we're trying to like hire and hire and hire. Yeah. And so we really were in this space where people wanted the jobs. There were a lot of jobs and they were overpaying for the jobs. I ain't gonna lie. Like they were overpaying for the roles. And so it's like, great, how can I help people get into this? And so when people see, you know, like I said, worked at TikTok, I made $146,500. Like that was what my salary was there. And it's just like, I was a trainer and like, I'm a damn good trainer. Do I think I'm worth the money? Yes. But like, my job before that was $70K. Like, this is twice the amount of money to do the exact same thing. And so if it was like, if I can do this, I can teach other people how to do this. So it's really been helpful for the business. How the other swing of that, the pendulum swinging the other way, is that people were back in the space of mass layoffs, you know, that are happening or that were happening. They're getting better. The landscape is leveling out. I will say, like during the pandemic, it was, we want to hire everybody. And then it was like, we now need to fire everybody. And I think it's finally getting back into that middle area of, do we like you? Do we not? And so because of that, it's forced us to change like how we're teaching people. I used to be very unintentional of saying like, you need to get your ass on LinkedIn. You need to get your ass on LinkedIn. But I was just more so saying that like, there are jobs on there and like that kind of thing, versus today, our branding and our marketing specifically for our offers is around the fact that you cannot continue to apply for jobs in the same way that you always have. Do you want to be applying for thousands of jobs? If you want to keep doing that, sure. But if you want to skip steps 1 through 10, let me teach you how to network your way into your next role. And if I can teach you how to network your way into your next role, I can make you layoff proof. I can't guarantee that you'll never be laid off, but if you get laid off, I've helped you build a network of people that you know you can go reach out to and connect with that are going to offer you opportunities. So I am making you as layoff proof as you can possibly be. And in the times that we're in right now, that is like monumental. And so like it's the small tweaks over time that we've like had to make, but they've been good. And the messaging truly hasn't changed. I got really excited when I had to like niche down a little bit and be like, okay, what am I really telling? What's the one way I'm telling them I'm going to help them get a job? Because there's 11,000 career coaches, right? And resume writers and whatever's. What's the one way I'm telling them I'm going to do it differently? And the one way is I'm going to teach you how to network. I'm going to teach you how to use your professional brand in order to get into your next job, because that is how I did it. And I didn't have the words for it before. And so 2024, we've been on some shit in the best of ways.
That part. And we're going to keep going up. I think like too, a big thing, because it's literally, you know, a part of me and your story, but there's the hiring, the firing, but also the pivoting.
Yeah.
And as y'all say in every TikTok or even through marketing materials, like a big pillar to six-figure chick is the transition of careers, right? Like pre-pandemic, you and I were 9-to-5ers. Post-pandemic, we're 3 and 4 year CEOs. So a big part of that like era, that traumatic era that we all went through as, you know, a global society, was people realizing that, one, they were the shit more than their job would ever tell them or that they would realize.
Absolutely.
2, that weird time of silence and clubhousing and all the other things that popped in showed you like, damn, like I'm really doing this for other people. Like, why don't I just do it for myself? Like, it was this era where I say definitely for Black women of newness, of like, bet on myself. Like the bet on myself era that came out of pandemic is just, it's chef's kiss.
Absolutely.
Like, and I know it's so many stats that support, you know, how many, you know, Black women owned businesses just came out of that time. And
I started 2 businesses.
Yeah.
I started 2
Exactly. And I think that's just something too that, you know, when you talk about you guys as unique value proposition of teaching people how to network, I think about my career journey before starting Digital 319 and working for myself and becoming a full-time CEO. I had 3 different jobs. The first one was fresh out of college, and it's what brought me here. And they found me. This is 2014. They found me on LinkedIn. Moved from Georgia to Texas. My second job, I actually applied to it. And my third job, I was pulled to that job from somebody I worked with at the current job I was at. And they got hired. You know what I'm saying? So like what you talk about, like with just networking is, I think it's kind of like the silent killer, right? Like we always think, oh, I need to update my LinkedIn. Oh, I need to update my resume. Oh, I need to apply to 100 jobs a day. But really the networking is what sets it apart. And like you said, if you build that group of people, like I just think about our mastermind in general, like how you to just pour into each other. You tap into people when you need them, make those deposits when you don't, you know, of just friendship and checking in and, you know, seeing how things go. But that networking piece is something that I don't think most people ever consider before I need to change my resume. I need to apply for a job.
And that's the main problem, is that people network when they need something. We got to network before we need something, right? We have to, you know, it's because if not, now it's very transactional. And it's just like, if you have nothing to offer on your side of the transaction, why are they answering your DM? Why are they going to take your coffee chat? Why are they going to do whatever? And so, when I, you know, teach, one of the biggest things that I say is like, it's a lot of work in the beginning. It feels like heavier lifting in the beginning, but it's this tool that once you get it started, once the wheel starts turning, you can kind of take your hands off of it. And every now and then you just kind of, you know, what's the merry-go-round thing at, you know, in the park when you're a kid. And it's like, at first you're kind of running around and you keep having to push it and you keep having to push it. But eventually you let that motherfucker spin like 5 times. And then you're like, okay, let me give it one good push. Spin it again. Let me give it one. You know what I'm saying? And so it's that idea, is that I don't have to keep my hands on this, versus if I was applying to jobs is a hands-on thing. I have to physically go find the job, submit the application, adjust the thing, answer their questions. Lord forbid they want a cover letter or some other, like, whatever. That is such a hands-on thing to do. And you don't have time to do that every day. People are moms. Like they're just humans and they don't want to sit at a computer all damn day. So it's just like, this is a thing that if you can give me 90 days of your time and let me help you start to spin the wheel around, I will make it where once a month, maybe you're touching that damn wheel and just making sure it's still moving. And that's the things, like, people only do it when they need it. And we got to stop doing it only when we need it.
Girl, first of all, not you one got me wanting to go get on the merry-go-round.
Take a little recess break.
Random as hell. I feel like ever since I've been in Texas, which is about to be 10 years next month, I don't think I ever seen a damn merry-go-round out here. And I'm thinking, because if you got to do that running around in this hot ass weather, you pass the fuck out. Like, it's no merry-go-rounds here. Where are the merry-go-rounds?
I feel like they're also just like bad for kids' health. Like I feel like kids get like caught on them and they get hurt all the time. So I think they're just like, we're just.
Are they just no longer approved? Like,
I don't think they're allowed anymore.
girl, that was like one of my favorite little recess little things. I have not seen a merry-go-round. Like, I need to like do like a thread.
I need this.
Something about this shit. Where is the damn merry-go-rounds? All right. So we're going to take a break in conversation and do our report session. So this is where you guys get to learn a little bit more about my guest and myself. And I'm going to ask Shaque'l 3 random questions. I'll also answer them myself. So the first one is, I know you've been doing your hot girl walks, especially before a 6-figure weekend. So are you more of a cardio girl or a weightlifting girl?
I feel like the answer is technically weightlifting. Cardio is just easy for my CEO brain. Like, when I'm busy and when I'm overwhelmed, I don't have to think. I can go outside, I turn the thing on, and I just go for a walk. But I prefer weightlifting. I got this body, y'all. Y'all can't see it because I'm sitting down right now, but I got a body. I got to live.
Check my page, though.
check the TikTok. It's definitely some questionable TikToks on there. But yeah, no, definitely the weightlifting. Definitely the weightlifting.
I feel you on that. I love the atmosphere of like weightlifting in the gym. Like, I love to go to the gym, get a hard sweat, lifting weights. Like, I don't know, it's something about the weightlifting. I feel more accomplished than if I like go get on the treadmill.
Yes,
I go outside and walk. But I am going to echo you on that. It's a new thing now, where like literally probably as of this week. But when I come, you know, those times you go in your office and you're like, I don't know if I should wrap all the shit in my brain, write it down, put it in Slack. I don't know where to put it, but you're just like super overwhelmed. Then I start deep breaths. I get my notebook or whatever, no device time. Like, put the screens out of it, take my damn notebook and go step outside the house or wherever I am and just write my brain out. And so I think I can definitely see that turning into like a cardio thing, like just taking a little walk, because that does happen. Like that overwhelm of just like, I know I got a shit ton to do, or you only got 4 things to do, but you're still just like, where the fuck do I start? Like,
it's too much. It's too much stuff. In the walks, I've tried to be better about not working on the walks. Like, cause I'm a queen of a voicemail. Like, I will voice memo somebody out the wazoo. And so it's just like, I'm like, do not work on your walks. And so the other day, for the first time, I started with Natasha Bedingfield. These words are my own. And then I let Spotify just do the thing. And I love music, but I suck at putting it in a playlist. So I was like, you need to make a playlist. So I made Feel Good Jams playlist. And then I started with that song. And then I just when I tell you, Sony noise canceling headphones on, screaming at the top of my lungs, walking down the street, just
I could see
jamming it out for my like 2 miles. But it was just like, I felt so good. I came back inside. I just danced in the house. Like, I just came in here and just like let the body flow for like 30 minutes after that. And it was just really good because I was very overwhelmed. I was super overwhelmed. And I always work or I call my mom when I walk, like stuff like it's my time that I talk to her. And it's just like, no, this needs to just be nothing time. These be silent time and just fun.
Yeah, because it's so rare, like where we just give our brains just like the space. Because just like you said, most of the time when I call my parents or somebody that I need to catch up with, it's like, okay, I'm about to drive from here to here. Let me call my mama, or I'm about to do this. It's always like while doing something else,
right?
And then you add, you know, having a almost 2-year-old onto that, girl. It's like my brain is not mine most of the time.
No. It's too many things. Too many things.
So, as millennials, I know we do not dream of labor, but keeping in line with you being a career strategist, the 6-figure chick way, if you could have any other job or career or do anything else with your time, what would it be?
My like life passion, my heart is helping houseless people. So like my like philanthropic goal is that when I am, because I will be a multimillionaire, I want to invest my time and my energy into rehabilitating people from homelessness, because no one ever talks about rehabilitation of homelessness. They're just like, nah, we give them like a cot and some food, and it's like, right. But the same way that people have to work through steps when they have an addiction to, you know, potentially like drugs or alcohol, is the same way that people have to work through steps to get back to a point of functioning fully in society and in like a way that feels good for them. And so if I had all the money in the world and I could do whatever I wanted to do, that is what I would spend my time doing. That's my like soft spot always.
Love that. I wish my answer was anywhere close to being as great as that. But my honest answer is just if I had to have a job or something else I could pick,
Yeah.
it would be something that I could walk away from.
Hmm.
Because I think when when you have more of a like service or skill based job versus,
Yeah,
like a hard labor job,
for sure.
that company's paying you for your brain. They're
Right.
paying for you to show up and you to pour your brain into whatever the hell they got going on.
Right.
And so I've never had a job in my career where, you love, especially working because my jobs have always been in social media.
Right.
I'm never like, I clocked out, left the job, and now when I'm home, I'm just like, I don't see that job until I go back tomorrow. Like I've
No.
always had the job where you took your work home with you.
Yes.
So that's it. Like just a job where when I clock out this bitch, I ain't gonna see y'all
I'm
until
done.
tomorrow. like,
I
I'm
am
not here.
truly done. This is
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. All right, this last one, I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit on it.
All right.
So
Okay.
if social media in the era now of everybody talking about the potential TikTok ban, all these things,
Yeah.
we've seen I don't know how many social channels sunset and go away forever.
Right.
Just whether the business wasn't profitable, nobody was using it anymore. But we think about MySpace, tagged Vine, all the way to now with Threads and X and all of this. But
Yeah,
if social media went away as a communication medium,
for
like just
sure.
flat off the face of the earth, is no longer here.
Okay.
I don't even feel like I have to ask, like, how would our lives be impacted? Because it's just like, damn, well, there goes my business. Like,
Both of our businesses are really dependent right now.
damn, do we put ads in the newspaper? Like, what the fuck?
We will start running radio ads.
Radio podcasting. So, like, how would you, if social media went away, how do you feel like you would spend your time day to day?
Yeah, if I'm still doing this business, so if it's like how will Six Figure Chick continue?
Yeah.
Speaking in person, this is what I do. When I worked in corporate as a trainer, they always want you to train them on something as a part of the interview process. Usually the final round is you teach a presentation to a panel, and so my panels were always how to command a room. And when COVID happened, I did how to command a Zoom, like with the Z in parentheses, because I was like, haha, I'm so like trendy with the words. But this is my thing. Like I walk into rooms and I can get people to stop talking.
I echo that. Like I feel like the first thing I do is tap into my network, like into how you mentioned, it's the whole power of having a network, and you don't network for something, you just network to have the network to continue to grow it. So I tap into that network and definitely like do the same, like figure out, is it, now contacting, colleges and schools or small businesses in my area, going to restaurants and, hey, I see you need, some help with your branding or whatever. But yeah, you have to do that, old school, get in front of people's face.
Gotta get them to put the signs in the window, get on the radio, get on the podcast, be like,
Exactly.
just put my ad right here real quick.
I'm thinking about personally, like how much less stuff I would add to my Amazon cart as a mom and a wife and like having the household if I didn't have social media, because the amount of shit you just impulse buy because like, oh, we need that. We saw it.
It's theirs. I have whole folders saved. I have a TikTok folder, a Facebook folder, and a Instagram folder that is just saved of things to buy at some point. Like the way I've learned though to spend less money, and specifically with Amazon, is I have an Amazon buy day. By the way, so you add things to cart throughout the week, but I'm only allowed to buy things from Amazon on Tuesday. And so what will happen, like unless it's truly like so, and even if it is the rule I try to give myself is that like I need to go to the store. There's a Dollar Tree up the street. There's a HEB that way. But it's just like I try to give myself that rule. And what happens is on Tuesday you get to the cart, you see how much money, and you're like, I'm not buying this shit. Exactly. And you start taking things like out of it. And so that's the way I've like helped myself with not spending as much money. If anybody needs that tip.
I'm still in that. Granny, it varies with baby girl. She just like,
let's say you got a baby. I got no kids. That's the difference.
You want to eat with your own spoon and fork now? Okay, shit. I'll buy some little baby spoon and fork. But yeah, I like that because then it gives you time on that buy day to be like, let me sift through this shit that I added at 3 a.m.
Yes.
TikTok that I really don't need. And you're like, I don't need this.
Yeah. And when you see that total number of like $1,000, you're like, I'm not spending $1,000 on Amazon. But when you buy it individually throughout the week, you don't notice it, right? It's a little $7.99 here, $3.49 there, but $1,000.
It's about to be the top bullet on me and my husband's finance meeting for next week. Like it's about to be the top
Amazon buy day. This is just Amazon 1 day a week. 1 day.
I love that. All right. So switching gears back into the conversation, let's talk about young Shaque'l. So growing up, like who made the most impact on your life or who are like some of your biggest influences?
I feel like I always hate this question because I don't feel like I ever have an answer. I feel like I felt like anti-influenced, like de-influenced. I saw, I think for me as a kid, I saw, people living in a way that I didn't want to live, people having experiences that I knew I didn't want to have. And it was like, I don't know what the opposite of this is, but whatever the opposite of this is like what I want. This is where I want to go. I have some amazing people in my life. My mother's amazing, but like I watched my mom. My mom's a single mother, 3 kids. My mom had her first kid, me, at 14. You know what I'm saying? Like I watched my mother, bust her ass, be an amazing mom, but absolutely struggle. And so when I say it's like the de-influence or the anti-influence, that's a bit more of what I'm trying to say is like massive impact on my life. But it was just like, oh, I don't want this. I do not want to do this. I don't want any of this. Like, how do I do something very different? We country folks, we small town people, and so it's just like, I don't mind small town life. Like, maybe I will go outside barefoot in some grass real quick.
Correct. I will touch grass and be fine.
My grandparents owned a ranch. Like, I have like ridden on cows and bulls and all sorts of shit. So it's just like, it's not about being like, oh, like, I want to be bougie. It was just like, I want ease. Like, I talk about it today. I will not have kids until I can afford a night nurse and a nanny and like all of these other things, because I have watched so many people in my life struggle with things that I'm just like, no, like the anti-influence. Like Lil Tootie was just like, I want nice shit, man. How do we get whatever we can get? Like, I don't know what I gotta do, but I just want nice things. And the first thought, I thought I want to be a lawyer. And I was young, super young, like 5. I was like, I want to be a lawyer. And then I was like, I'm gonna be a D1 athlete. I don't know what I'm gonna do after that, but I'm gonna get a full ride scholarship. I'm gonna be a D1 athlete. I did neither of those things. I will wreck somebody's shit at volleyball though, if anybody wants to play. But I did neither of those things. But yeah, I feel like it was a lot of anti-influence.
I love that. I love that term. I love just that internalization of, because we do get asked that a lot, especially like at the levels that we are in our career and as business owners, like, oh, what were your influences or what were the things that and while easily, parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, like all of that, is a play, like sometimes there were things that, we saw or experienced that was just like, it impacted me, but it did not influence me.
For sure.
And shoot, like, just like you said, like I went from wanting to be an anesthesiologist because somebody said it made a bunch of money. Well, I was like the social studies and English and arts girl. I hated math and science. So when I realized it was a science thing, I was like, don't want to be that. Then I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. Mm-hmm. And I think one of my like cousins brought me like a sewing machine for my birthday. I was like, I had a sketchbook where I was drawing all these things. Then I wanted to be a WNBA player. I still didn't find out then that they didn't make any kind of money.
Do not make me.
Back then, that was probably like the first, 6-7 years of the WNBA. Yeah. And then I realized, oh, you short in comparison to
the other people. Mm-hmm.
And then, and then somewhere down the line, like I started like coding, like, building my space, doing all those things. And that just stuck with me. But I love the idea of the anti-influence that still made an impact. Yeah. So, thinking about, that the way, you grew up, like you said, country girl, but look, like it was just certain things that I desired for my life. A big part of that desire pours into you still as, being a business owner. That's kind of like a whole separate person, as a CEO. So at what point over the last 3 or 4 years, did you realize you were going to have to grow 6-figure chick consulting outside of yourself? That you weren't going to have to do this with not Shaque'l wearing all the hats?
Yeah, that was probably, I would say like January, February of last year. Business did great. 2022, I'm trying to get my years. Yeah, 2022. So 2022 business was great. I made like $90,000 by myself. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I was just like, oh my God. And all the money was mine, taxes, whatever, but all the money was mine because there was nobody else, in the business. And I thought that was great, but I was also, I think I just hear, I know, sorry, I'm going to be a little weird, but I just put this up, but like, this is my book that I used to do resumes in. These are order numbers, and this was the start time and the end time. And this is literally how I would go. It's like, do you see how many resumes are like in here? So I was doing so many resumes to get to that dollar amount that I was like, I can't sustain this. I can't keep doing this. I like the money. This is great. And I am making impact, but I am tired. I'm working until 2 a.m. I'm getting back up, really early to start knocking them out. And I'm working a full-time job at the same time. I was still working at TikTok at the time. And so, January, February, I was like, I don't think this is it. Like, this has to be different. And I kept increasing my prices too. Like, that was the thing, is like, over time, it kept raising the price up, and I was a little nervous of like, I don't want to charge too much, the typical CEO thing. Like, I don't want to charge too much, but I needed more. I knew I needed more of my time back. And so in January, I had my biggest month. In one single month, I made $35,000, January of 2023. And I was like, I don't need this job anymore. Okay, 35, girl, I am leaving. And so I put my notice in, and February was my first month, like, full-time entrepreneurship, and I only made 10 grand. And I didn't notice it. Even to this day, when I always talk about it, I'm like, yeah, we made like $25,000. And my like CPA is like, you made like 9,000 and some change, baby. And so I didn't feel it. Thank goodness. And then in March, I went to the conference where we connected at. And so at that conference, I waited, because I never want to take up too much space. I have my own internal issues with that. I go to therapy, but I never want to take up too much space. And so I waited to raise my hand until it was the day to ask questions about money, because I didn't want anybody to skip over me, because I'd already asked a question. And so that day I was like, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to ask about this money. And I think at the time I said what I said. Like, I got up on stage and I said what I said. And Maya was just like, yeah, of course you're booked out 6 weeks at a time. You're giving them everything. Like, I would book you out too. Like, you need to raise your prices. You need to do all this stuff. And so I hired somebody right after that. I adjusted my rates. I did my things, but it was just when I was doing this, it was up till 3 a.m. doing resumes, and like, only making 90K, which I know sounds like crazy. So, for anybody that's watching or listening, like, at some point, those numbers do get small. People hate when I say that $100,000 is actually not that much money, but that's coming from a person who's paid well over $100,000 and still was like $90,000 in fucking debt. So, like, $100,000 in the grand scheme of things isn't actually all that much money. And so that 90K was amazing for where I was at the time, but I knew I wanted to make more, and I could make more, but I couldn't figure out how to make more sustainably, because the money I was making right now wasn't even sustainable. And so that's when I was like, somebody else has to do this work. Like, I have to hire other people so that I can outsource the work, because I'm making 3 TikToks a day and answering all the comments and all the DMs and all the LinkedIn posts and doing the resume.
And doing the work. Man, yeah, I think that's one of my like pieces of advice, or something that, you have that one thing that's lives rent free in your head when people ask you about your experience as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And something that I always say when asked or questioned is that the best thing I ever did early on in owning the business was hire.
Yes.
Literally within maybe 3 months of landing my first big contract, becoming a full-time entrepreneur, 3 months later, I hired. Yep. And I hired my sister at that. Yeah. So I didn't even have to. She was a teacher at the time. It was hella pandemic time, like end of 2021, where we were all in the thick of it. Like, everybody like to say like 2020, but that 2020, I feel like, was just the inception with the election, so much social unrest.
There's so many other things. Yeah.
That was really the shit ass year
of
it all. And to be able to hire, one, somebody that I trust and have worked well with my entire life. 2, somebody who, she came from running a classroom for 11 years. To, I just need somebody to manage part of the operations of what the fuck is going on. And also step in, and every other thing, social strategy, I can teach you those things. I don't need you coming in on that. But like, that's always my advice. Like, do not run from expanding. Even if you don't get to make the 90K in your pocket no more, and you got to split that 90K with somebody else. The amount of time and peace that you get back with hiring. I've seen so many entrepreneurs close to me in my family where they done gone 10, 5, however many years, doing all the stuff by themselves. And then they burnt out. Top of like quickly seeing the gains of not having to do all the things and wear the hats. Is later on, as the business grew, I wasn't reluctant to know when to hire. I feel like the later you wait in business, I've been doing this for 5 years by myself, then you never swallow the pill of just like, damn, maybe I need help. Like, because I hired within 3 months of literally becoming a full-time CEO, every time the business pivoted and grew, I was like, that's another person.
Yeah,
we need me, and that ain't you.
Yeah. I have a question for you. I know it's your podcast.
Girl,
questions, but I just want to, when you for anybody listening, when you say that you advocate for hiring early on, would you suggest hiring from a full-time standpoint? When you say hire, do you mean hire and or contract? Like, are those words interchangeable for you?
Interchangeable for me, because I think another thing that me and you have both seen, you realize like whatever you was making in year 1 versus year 4, that's completely different.
Right.
And in year 1, you might only make $30,000 or something. So people just, it's nobody's that's going to work for me. If I can only pay them $9 an hour, that's probably fucking true. You're pretty right. But there's so many different levels of hiring, just like you point out, whether that's I hired on somebody to work 40 hours a week, or, hey, I got, little cousin Ray Ray who's super skilled in designing graphics, and Ray Ray wants some extra experience for his resume or whatever. Ray Ray might not be looking for money. He just wants the experience. Like, I think we still like discount the fact, back to your point about networking, we discount the fact that sometimes we have a network around us and we just don't want to tap into it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I definitely interchangeable. Hire for what you can afford. And with everything in business, it's the balance of time and money. So maybe you can afford for somebody to just work for you for 5 extra hours a week, and all they doing is checking your emails.
For sure.
And even if it don't feel like a big ass task, now you didn't have to worry about checking them.
You don't have to worry about the emails. I hate answering emails. I don't answer emails anymore. That is somebody else's job.
Exactly.
You're rarely ever talking to me unless it's a text, and then it's me because it's a voice memo.
Exactly. Emails and payroll. Them was 2 things recently that those had to go. So absolutely. I don't want to speak from a place of just like, oh, well, you're going to make enough money to, hire. Cause absolutely not. Like, the shit's tough to grow a business, but the moment you realize I got either a little bit of extra time, whether you mentoring somebody to do something for you, or money to be able to pay somebody in whichever way they need to be compensated, do it.
Absolutely. Do it. Yeah. Outsourcing is important. However we can outsource, let's outsource, guys.
And don't even think of it as like this long-term shit. It might just be something where you got them for 90 days. But I think the moment you swallow the pill and be like, look, I can't do this shit by myself, and you just hire in any kind of way, you won't be reluctant anymore. Yeah. So we have fast forwarded from the pandemic, from even Lil Tootie. Like, we done been through the journey, right, of us as young girls, like, to now, like, being CEOs. So thinking about where Shaque'l is today, what does your ultimate self look like? Like, what is that ultimate life? I'm living my best life.
Yeah. My ultimate self experiences joy and pleasure consistently. Those are 2 words that I feel like I'm always working towards. And joy to me is different than happiness. Joy is like how you feel when you hear a baby laugh, like, those like little baby giggles, and you can't, like, you make a face and everything every time. Just want that joy. So joy and pleasure, and like pleasure in like food, pleasure in experiences. But like, I want to only do my highest self is only doing things and indulging in things that please me and that's good for me. That is the ultimate goal. I'll never stop working. I'm not that person that's like, I never want to work a day. Like, I would be bored out of my mind. I know it. Like, I'm on the weekends when the team is like off, I just be at the house and I'm like, shit, I wish somebody would respond to my Snap. Because I just want to work so bad, but I need other people to answer the things. And I'm like, do not send them a message right now. So I don't see myself not working. But
our secrets that we be scheduling them Slack messages, we be scheduling them emails, we be scheduling, like, the way I would work.
5 a.m. I'm not up. That was me scheduling that from Sunday. I just didn't want to message you on Sunday.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's just, I think I would still like work, but just doing more things that bring me, like I said, a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure. And so I said, like, right now I still do a lot of work on TikTok and like love TikTok. TikTok's great, whatever. But like, I would find so much more joy in going and talking to kids. Like, I would love to go and speak to, like I said, high school kids and things like that, and get to make a difference in like those people's lives and to relate to them in a way that like their parents probably, like, and their teachers, it's like, go to school and get your degrees and da-da-da-da. I'm like, no, let me tell you something else. Like, those tattoos are never going to get you anywhere else. I'm like, tattoos have got me very far. Actually, I got 20 of them. We're doing great. Like, we're doing wonderful. So just making that pivot, like my highest self, when I am at like, just peak optimal Shaque'l, it will be that I'm doing every single day things that bring me joy and pleasure. That's my goals.
First of all, CEO, scheduling tools, scheduling features, handshake.
Yes.
Like, And something I have loved about this question this season is that a lot of you have been like CEOs or business owners, and none of the answers have ever revolved around money.
Yeah.
Like it just hasn't. Like it's because I think we see in a way like we know our expertise. So what it was like, I know how to make money. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Money will always be there. I will make the money.
Exactly. So like when I think about ultimate self, it's like you kind of said earlier, like that anti-influence is like the anti where like the peace, the ability to just move and flow and be, in the things that make me happy as often as I need it, work when I need. So I totally empathize with that. So bringing us to my last question in favor of, all of the questions. If you could leave advice for a woman at the cooler, looking to be either in your space or your shoes or just regular ass advice for any woman, like what would that advice be?
I'm gonna circle back to something I said earlier. My advice is always going to be figuring out what your best authentic self looks like and presenting as that person as often as you can. It is way too much work for you to pretend to be somebody you're not, to try to do things that other people want you to do, exist in a way that other people want you to exist. And so whether it is, you're around the cooler in the office because you in the corporate world, you're in around the cooler here, cooler talk here, like I don't care where you are, being your best authentic self is going to get you so far. All of the speaking engagements I get, a lot of the clients that I get, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I love who you are. And I had to be here. I had to talk to you. I had to be in your presence kind of thing. And so that it's something that gets lost along the way. We want to be like everybody else, right? We see that thing that they did that went viral. Mm-hmm. We see, that like whatever, they got this thing, they got that thing. I want to be like them. And like, no one can do you like you can do. And I just want you to be you as best as you possibly fucking can. It is going to make a world of difference in your experience. I promise.
Yep. And it's like, I think somebody said on last season of just like, like you are here to solve a problem in this world. So it's like, if you show up as anybody else or show up trying to do something somebody told you and it's not you, then the problem doesn't get solved.
Absolutely.
But just imagine like, even it from that perspective. And just like you just said, it's easy, with social media and all the different ways that we communicate these days to see the end goals of so many people's lives or see like where they are now. But a real damn carousel post, none of those things show you like the actual trajectory of their process, of their journey, of, what it took for them to get there. So it's like, imagine you looking at somebody's life after they done put in 17 years, of hard work. Like you skipping steps to think that, oh, I want to be that.
You really are. Yeah.
But there's so many steps before that we don't always get to see.
And frustrating yourself about not like being there. Like I did that recently. I threw a conference and somebody else I know threw a conference. And like in my mind, they were a younger, like a smaller, not smaller, but a younger business than us. Yeah. And I was like, how did they get AWS and this and, all these places to sponsor them and I was like, if they threw a conference, I could throw a conference. And then that was, they've been in business for like 5 years. I've been in business for like 2. I've had employees for 1 year. So it's just, comparing those journeys, and it's not the right place. It just, you're only frustrating yourself and setting yourself up. And I learned that lesson this year. Like we're always learning. We're always growing.
Shit. And too, just to keep echoing a lot that you talked about through this episode is just like people's networks. Sometimes you don't even know like the behind the scenes connections some people have. Literally that, to other parts that have either propelled their businesses or the things that they do. And that like you say, if nothing else, all you can fall on is being exactly who you are.
For sure.
And it all works out. You start to figure it out along the way. It's like, is this something that I would do or execute? Nah, okay, I'm not doing it.
This ain't it. Yeah, this makes decision making so easy.
Exactly. So does Six Figure Chick have any exciting products, projects, events coming up that you want to share?
There's always something in the works, is what I'm saying. We're still so young that we're just constantly like, there's always some area for growth. The big thing is that conference season is upcoming. So please expect to see us at different conferences. Follow the socials so that way you can see where we're going to be. Pop up on me. You know what I'm saying? Like I love a good drink. Maybe we can go find a bar and we can get someone some egg whites, and I will be there. So yeah, we're gonna as of right now, we have for sure confirmed speaking at Baddie Tech in New York. That's happening in August, and this is super dope. It's a conference I really wanted to attend. We're gonna have a booth, so it's gonna be our first time having a booth at a conference and like doing an expo table. And so I'm excited to get to do that. I go to things as a speaker. I never really get to go and do the thing, and so we're really putting our all into this. And so that's kind of the kickoff to conference season. Conferences start from that August to November timeframe, and they just go back to back. So expect to see me at Afrotech. Expect to see me at all the tech conferences. But yeah, just please come up, say hi. I love talking to y'all. I always love when people want to like say hello. Like, I'll be there. I'll be wherever you at. Don't worry about it.
I love that. I love when you post on your story and you see people like just on a plane, like y'all done sit next to each other, and they're like, "I'm a 6 figure tree." Like, damn.
It makes me cry every single. I was literally talking about therapists the other day, and I was like, started crying. And I was like, I should not be crying about this. I was like, but it's always just so sweet. Like, I'm just like, little old me, and you want to like hug me and like take a picture, and that's crazy.
It's because it's just like you feel. I say keep crying every time it happens, because you feel the power of what you created.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like, me because I decided to do X, Y, and Z.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think it's the beautiful feeling. So you mentioned them, pull up on you digitally, online, on the socials. So drop the socials so they know exactly where to find you.
For sure. You can find us on everything at 6 Figure Chick Consulting. It is 6 the number, never the word. Please don't do that. I don't like when people do that. If you want to find me directly, any socials that I have is I am Shaque'l Dominique. But yeah, please find us TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the stuff. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to learn more about you. We'd love to figure out how we can work together. And I just love to see you. So if you where I'm at, let's get together.
Yes. And y'all make sure to tune into her podcast, Your Favorite 6 Figure Chick. Shaque'l, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Cool.
And y'all, thank you so much for joining us around the cooler, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.